Trying something new today here, folks. That's right, if you couldn't figure out by the title, I'm going to start doing just plain old-fashioned Yu-Gi-Oh! Card discussion videos. But wait! Many of you are thinking lots of Yu-Gi tubers do that. Well, I've decided to put a little spin on it. Instead of just me with a DevPro image of me and my views, I actually got together with my friend Mike, and we recorded two of these. I don't know when the second one will get up. We want to start doing more of them. Basically, a debate. Is a card too broken? Is a card too powerful? Should it get banned? Should it get limited? What does this tournament report mean? All that kind of stuff. I want to have a debate about it so that way we can get both sides of the argument all in one nice, pretty package. And that's what we're doing today. If you couldn't tell, we are talking about the validity of Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, a card that I have a very love-hate relationship going into a format where I will be relying on Master Hero Dark Law. Without further ado, let's get started.
Is Winter Cherries on the verge of being either limited or banned? Now, the reason I bring this up is because in every deck you see currently, if they have space for it, they're either maining it or siding it. And it's just becoming a card that is literally a blowout if you get it in your opening hand, if not in your hand in general. Just because if you watched YCS Liverpool, it's like the top four decks, two of which being Light Sworns, which was, weird, but they had Minervas, so I guess whatever. But it's just like, if you see the top decks, it's like either they were maining 2 to 3, and that's the reason why they won their games, just because, cool reveal, I get rid of your best card, and then you essentially can't do anything for the rest of the match. Or they'll side it in, and they win that way. So it's just like, is Winter Cherries on the climb to be one of the most insanely powerful cards currently that we have? And my opinion on that is yes. What are your thoughts?
My opinion is no. I actually think Winter Cherries is good for the meta. I think it should stay at 3. Could it get hit? Yeah. But the thing is about Winter Cherries with me is that it's important to remember that a lot of people complain nowadays about how you get some extra deck monsters that are way too overpowered and way too strong. Especially like something like ABC Buster Dragon. Like, there was literally a deck profile from a winning ABC deck where the guy literally goes on like a 2-minute rant where he talks about, you summon this card, you just auto-win. And the thing is, people need ways to fight against that, and I think Winter Cherries is the best way to do it, but it's not as obnoxious as like a Vanity's Emptiness or Thunderdecks and Anti-Spell Fragrance. The game at least still goes on. It's just you've taken out that really overpowered card.
Well, I guess it's a case of like another floodgate being a floodgate, but it's just like it's creating a game state in which literally everyone is main decking this card now. Like, it used to be a side deck card until people are like, oh fuck, this is one of the best cards we have, we're just gonna main it now. And it's creating a game in which, again, it's another floodgate being a floodgate, but it's just like, if you open this card and you know what your opponents are playing, and you have the proper resources to go off for Winter Cherries, it's like, cool, you automatically win that duel, essentially. And that's what I'm getting at, is that this card, in a lot of situations, so not certain, it creates a instant win condition. Just because it's like, you get rid of your opponent's best card, granted, albeit they're playing a great deck, like let's say you Winter Cherries the Buster Dragon, it's like, you essentially win that game because they have to rely on the rank 4s, but it's just like, at that point, it's just an automatic win because you have all your resources, whereas they don't.
Yeah, but I hate to say this. If your deck is so reliant on Buster Dragon that losing them like that is an auto lose, you don't have a very good deck build. Like, I'm sorry, but the thing is that decks should not be, everything is reliant on this one triple effect card.
Yeah, but that's how Yu-Gi-Oh's been for like the past fucking 2 years.
And everyone's been bitching about it.
First was Dante.
Yeah.
Then came Dark Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
To an extent.
Yeah.
But it's just like, decks have always been like that. Like, look at Six Sams, or look at E-Dragons. It's like,
and
the problem cards were the fucking Draco Sack and like Xian. Or Gateway, rather.
Yeah.
But.
And here we are now with a way to fight back. Like, that's sort of the thing to me, is that when you talk about hurting cards like this, like a card that is purely just to stop a really overpowered game state from happening, to me, like, you're really sort of taking the fangs away, because you take something like ABC's, a deck that's tearing up the OCG, you need everything you can get to take this deck down. And the thing is, this I think is a really fair way to do it. And let's be real here, this card doesn't come with doesn't come with a couple drawbacks, because unless you're a deck with good space in the extra deck, you have to take stuff out, stuff you need, and you've got to really make the decision what's worth pushing out.
I've seen many situations where they really don't care. Like, it's just, this card essentially has no flaws in the way that we're playing it now. And it's just getting to the point where most decks, like let's take ABCs for example. If you're playing in the main deck, like, you'll automatically just have, cool, you have your main 3 Buster Dragons, then you have like a Tsukiyomi, a couple of them, 1-2, a Girgon X. Like, you already have the space in that deck. Like, other cards are either very situational or they're not really that needed. But, like, you have to... A lot of players are just choosing what is essential for the deck, and then winter cherrying in other spaces. So it's just like, well, I see where you're coming from, it's just, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I get you.
And then another thing is, Konami, albeit they're very slow on certain things, but in the recent, like, year, they've been going hard on cards that they saw were being very overplayed and just generic as hell.
Except, like, anti-spell.
Well, that's another time. But Winter Cherries, in my opinion, is again on the verge of getting hit. Just basically, we're gonna keep playing this card like we're doing. Konami's gonna fucking be like, oh, like, let's look at
Maxi.
Well, Maxi. I was also gonna go for Performa Pals. It's just like Pepe. We had it for like a month, and they're like, or not even, and they're like,
2 weeks, I think.
fuck you, we're gonna hit this shit now. And then Maxi, granted, Konami has said they hate generic draw cards, but it's just like, Maxi, we were maining it at 3, if not 2. And it's just like, Maxi was just an insanely powerful card, the way it is. And I feel Ghost Cherries, or Winter Cherries, is going to be the next Maxi. Albeit, I don't think it's going to get semi-limited. I feel it's going to get limited if we keep playing it the way we are. Because Konami is going to catch on if they haven't already. And they're going to be like, cool, you're abusing this card to fucking hell. We need to do something. Just because if this is the case, pretty much, not pretty much, but a lot of regionals, if not big events, are going to be won just based off of Winter Cherries.
Yeah, but via the same token, we need to look at, you take that away, what's the other option? Entire regionals and YCSs just being won because of a bullshit card like Buster Dragon that has amazing removal, amazing recovery. Like, it's one of those things to where we need to also think about, well, if we get rid of it, what are we left with? Like, back when the whole number 95 Dark Mana Dragon, Return of E-Dragon stuff was going on and everyone was losing their minds, and then they put that ban list out that killed all the E-Dragons off before it came out. It's like, okay, but that still means we got stuck with an almost tier 0 format with frickin' Necros for almost 9 months. Like, it wasn't any better. Like, you just, if anything, the situation was worse because now it was almost all Necros and, like, occasionally Shaddolls or Fleas or Tellarknight stuff.
But, I mean, we do have other cards we can use, like Dimension Barrier and things like that. So Winter Cherries isn't the only out, but I feel Winter Cherries is the best out we have. And that's a problem. Just because while it is very powerful, I just feel that if we keep playing it like we're playing it, something's gonna happen. And while we have other cards we can play in case it gets hit, I mean, people are already main decking like 2 to 3 Dimension Berries. Like, that's no problem. But it's just like Winter Cherries, albeit in certain decks can really use it properly, or like just have the space already in the main for it. Like, it's like a flip-flop between Dimension Barrier and Winter Cherries, but I feel Winter Cherries is the bigger threat. And Dimension Barrier is just another card we can use instead of Winter Cherries.
I think Winter Cherries is good for the specific matchup where you know what your opponent's using. That's why I personally wouldn't want to main deck it, because knowing my luck, if I stick the Buster Dragon in the extra deck,
It's
and
also
I
like,
got 3 cherries. I will not see ABC the whole tournament. Knowing my luck, that's what'll happen.
well, but it's.
But the thing is, you need to be able to play around problems like this. Like, it's why every deck that still wants to use Performer Pals is main decking a Radish Horse, because it's an out-to-ante spell. It's why Cosmic Cyclone and Twin Twister and even MST are still hugely relevant, because they're outs to vanities. Like, the thing is that when you have cards like this in the game, it forces people to actually think in the context of player interaction. I'm not saying it's always fair. I am not saying Floodgate cards are necessarily good, but I'm saying that they're a necessary evil right now, and I think Winter Cherries is one of them, especially if Konami is going to keep producing monsters that do everything except for going to the moon, like with Buster Dragon. Like, if Extra Deck monsters went back to just one effect, you just summon it, do that thing, move on with the duel, it would be fine, but it's like, look at why Construct had to get banned. 3 freaking effects, no negatives.
Well, only in one deck.
Yeah.
So I guess
I mean,
that
in
was
the respect
Konami's-
to the Buster Dragon type
I miss you, Construct.
thing. Yeah, me too.
So, I feel like we've probably gone as far as we can. So, what are your thoughts on Winter Cherries? Do you think I'm right? Do you think he's right? Do you think we're both right?
Do you want more hand traps that look like lollies? We've gotten 2 in 2 years, both suspiciously in the spring set.
But,
Both had Yugo as the cover card.
but, trap tricks.
So that was that. Before we end this, I would like to say that all the images you saw over the course of the video was just stuff I found on Google. Most of it seemed to be from Zero Chant. I guess it's a popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan art site. For future one of these, if any of you have ideas or if you have pictures you'd like me to put in them, A, tell that in the comments below, and B, give me a link to where I can find that picture. Obviously, if it's copywritten or anything, I can use free stuff. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But as always, click to like, click to subscribe. Tell me what you think about Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, what you think its status is, and we'll see you all next time.